Okay. So yeah, today we'll look at the server and how we deploy the application. So basically the view that you are seeing is the QlikView management console. It is broadly, the QlikView server and publisher is basically managed by a browser-based console. There is no hardware, there is no specific console for it, or it's no application, separate application or anything. It's a browser-based console. You log into the server IP and you get this on the server. If you go to the management console, like program files, QlikView management console, you will be able to launch it. You'll have to give the username admin credentials. You'll be able to see this window. Now, if you remember, while we started the project or started the training, so the best practice was to create one entire big project for us. Right, so this is our session. So we created a project folder. So we created application, config file, data model, external, everything. Now in the application, it was pointing to the data model, and the data model was pointing to QEDs, and QEDs were created by extractor. All the while we had that relational relative paths for everything, right? So now we don't have to worry about anything. All that you have to do is copy the file, copy the entire folder. Now on the server in the C drive, so there is a designated server which is called a source document folder. Every time, most of the time, the IT manages this, and they will give you the source document folder path. Either it should be a specific folder on the server, or they might change that folder to be a specific folder on the shared drive or elsewhere. So you'll have to, take that path from the IT team, or if it is on the server, you'll have to go to program data. You'll have to go to QlikTech. Under QlikTech, so like I said, there is something called as source data, source documents basically. This is the place where you'll have to update your entire project folder. So whatever projects you create, so all the folders, all the project folders have to come here. Now, once you have copy pasted the project folder, the next best practice is clean up all the unwanted files apart from the project. So while after you have done the development, while during development you would have done a lot of testing, other things and all. So you just have to clean up everything so that there is no extra things that are there on the unwanted, unnecessary things on the data model in the files. Now you create everything, you delete this. Now I've deleted all the unwanted necessary files. I have this source document. So what happens is, once you place this documents in the source document, so when you come to the QlikView management console, so there are 4 tabs basically primarily on the server. So it's status, documents, users, and system. System has everything and anything to do with the server configuration. So if you need anything that you have to run as a configuration, you want to configure, so you'll have to go to the systems, and the system license, about, support, task, everything. Users is something to manage the users for a document or anything. It's everything and anything to understand how the users are using, what are the server objects, what are the groups, everything. This will come only when you have a document published. So we'll come back to this. The primary tab or the main tab is the documents. Under documents, you have the source documents folder, right? So this will come up only when you have a publisher. So the view that you're seeing is with the publisher. In case the organization does not have a publisher, it's like the source document will not be available. It will be a direct documents folder, in which once you update that documents, directly it will publish the document to the access point. So once you update the AdventureWorks folder, right, so if you can see actually that folder is reflecting over here. So generally, so once the folder reflects over here, you can expand the folder and see the files within the folder. So all the folders, like subfolders, everything will be visible to you. So you have these files. If you remember our discussion earlier, so we have followed this architecture, right? So where we have created an extractor, right? Then we have created like transformation layer. We have not worked extensively, but we have created QEDs, and from QEDs we have created data model, and then the UI application, right? So now we have to schedule it that way. So what we have to do is schedule the extractor at a given point, then run the extractor when run the extractor. Once the extractor is successful, run the data model. Right, so the personal edition is just a development edition. Data model and the UI. So basically, once the data model is completed, you run the UI. So what you do is, you would go to, for that reason, you would go to the extractor first, select the extractor, and add a task. So the moment you use that plus mark, right, so it adds a task. It gives you the option to set up the task. So basics are basically enable task. So if you enable it, the task will run. Then you can give the task name. So this is Adventure Works Extractor. Okay. Then you can move to reload. So do you want to perform reload? So if you enable this, then only the reload will happen. Now if you remember, we did the section access, right, which had the admin password and admin, or if you have any implemented section password, any section access, if the file is there and you want to schedule a task, you'll have to apply that over here. You will have to check the section access and give the admin password, admin username and password over here. So the QlikView server is going to take this password, refresh the file and load it. Right. Partial reload, if you remember, if you add those keywords, right, add and replace, it works, but it's not really recommended. It doesn't really, it's not really that successful. A separate document will be created based on user sequence data from the start top values. So you can actually select a particular parameter or a value from the document, and for every that value, right, QlikView is going to create a new document for it. But this is not the method to do it in a script parameter. I will show it to you. There's a different method to manage breaking the documents. We'll come back to that. Then there is reduce. We'll come back to the reduce part also. Then there is distribute. So the main tab is the general, reload, to enable reload or section access. The next is the distribute. Distribute is basically who all you want to give access to. So distribution automatically happens on the access point, but who all you want to give. So first thing is manually, you'll have to select the users. So you add it and you select the name, you select the users. You'll get an option add users and groups. So you'll have to select the users. So basically you can connect to multiple directories. So all the directories will be visible. You can just say all and search for the users. So you'll get the user, add it, and you're good with it. So you can add how many other users you want to, so everybody over here. Now there are three methods of distribution. One is QlikView server, which goes onto the access point, users can access, or you can email the entire QlikView document to the user, right? You can select the user from here, and based on his group email ID or his official email ID, once the document is reloaded, the entire QEW file will be sent to him. Or you can specify a folder. So you can reload the file and publish it to a folder on the shared drive. So you can specify a folder over here. So three methods of doing it. We will come back to this loop field in document. File type and notify will come back. Then there's document information. Now on the access point, right, so users can categorize documents. So there's So here users can categorize whether default, favorites, everything. So if you mention a category over here, right, it's if you say default, otherwise you can type in new. So you can categorize all the finance applications under finance. So next time when you add a new document, right, so along with default there will be a drop down select finance also. So right now there is no other category, that's why it's only default. Otherwise in the drop down you'll have the old categories that are there. Attributes are with what document information you want to give. Triggers, the next name is triggers. Triggers is basically when do you want to kickstart this task or when do you want it to. So you go to this green sign, add a plus and start it. So under triggers, now there are 4 methods of triggers. One is on schedule, on event from another task, on an external event, on multiple events completed, right? So you can say this being an extractor file, so it has to execute first. So I'll have to give it a time. So enable it once or daily. I'll have to select daily option. When do you start that in? So I'll have to give a specific time. So maybe I'll tell 8 a.m. Maximum number of executions expire. I can set this to expire. So after a certain date, this should not keep running. So I can select daily, weekly, monthly, continuously, however I want it to. And I'll say OK. I can create task dependencies based on if there is any dependency on these tasks or if this task is dependent on any other task. So predominantly we don't build this task dependencies because it gets too confusing and like you will not be able to maintain it. The last part is the server. So server is basically to do with what properties of the object you want. So first is server objects. Edit the schedule in the sense. We're telling in the future.
Yeah, in future, like we have in triggers you have given like weekly for so and so.
Right. You can come back and anytime. You can come back and anytime change any of these properties. So it's not fixed. So it's not like one time it is defined. Anytime you can come back and change the properties, any of the properties. So you have server objects are basically like the users, right, on the access point are allowed to create some data, some analysis. So they can create objects. Right. Let's see. So they can see right now on this application, the users can add sheet. So online they can add. This new sheet 8 is not a sheet for everybody. So this will not be visible for everybody. It is visible only for this particular user because he has created for himself. So this is like a server object. So do you want to allow it or not is what you can control over here. You can allow it to all authenticated users or you can choose the people whom you want to allow those server objects. Availability, where all the users you want to access. There is this mobile client option. It's not necessary that it has no major significance. It's not like if you don't check it, you'll not be able to access on mobile device. You can access it. Only thing, there is an iOS app which is native app, right, for QlikView. So that app is something that you will not be able to access. If you want to access, you'll have to check this mobile client. Download documents, the user can download the documents directly from the access point. Print and export to Excel. Session collaboration is one interesting part of social collaboration of QlikView, so collaborative decision making of QlikView. So sometimes if you get time, just go ahead and do a little bit research on session collaboration. It is nothing on a developer side, it is more on a business user side. The best practice, always enable it. Then there's performance, so you can run, set some performance settings over here, basically maximum number of concurrent sessions. So you can set how many people you want to allow simultaneously use this document, how many inactive session time. So like after a couple of seconds of inactivity, close the session. document timeout. So if somebody is like hit a big query or big this thing and they've just left it. So when do you want the document to come out of this thing? Yeah, enable audit logging. There's a lot of logs that are created to monitor the servers. So you have to enable this. And this is more specific to how you want to control the documents, which nodes. So when you have cluster and all, it plays a bigger role over there. So when you have multiple clustered servers and all, in a standalone server, it is always on all nodes. So preload is an option. So it's a good option to make sure your documents are not slow. What happens is when the user logs in for the first time, right? So the application, okay, after the application is reloaded, it doesn't directly go into the RAM of the server. So when the first user comes and accesses a particular application, that is when that particular application will go into the RAM. So when it goes into the RAM, all the calculations have to process, right? The UI calculations, all the graphs, everything has to refresh. Now when that refresh is happening, there will be a slight lag for the first user, not for the, for the user for the first time, whenever he logs in. From the second user or from the second time he logs in, it will not, there will be no lag. In case you want to enable, make sure that that lag is not there, you can say preload. Preload, what it does is, it will, before going to the RAM only, all the calculations will be calculated and refreshed and be there. So when the user logs in, the calculation time will be less. So it depends on how you want it. Yeah, best practice applied for all the applications. No, type of license doesn't really affect anything. So type of license will affect to the business user, not to the developer. So I'll say apply. Our task is created, AdventureWorks extractor. Okay, we have passed 8 o'clock. What I'll do is I'll go back, edit this. So I will edit it and give it as 8:10 a.m. This task is created. So let's see. Now once the extractor task is created, all I have to do is create the data model task. So I'll have to go to data model, add the task again similarly. All the steps same thing, enable, reload, reduce nothing, distribute. Okay, I think I showed the distribute option, but for an extractor, right, we don't have to distribute it to the server. So I'll just go to the extractor file and delete it. The reason being, extractor is something the user should not access it, right? The extractor is a backend file, so you don't have to distribute it to the server. Same is the data model. You don't have to distribute it to any server. You just have to reload it. So general, reload, distribute, nothing, document information. Only in the triggers you will have to add. Now on the triggers, you just have to use event from another task. So you will have to select on successful completion of AdventureWorks extractor. So you just have to say on successful completion of AdventureWorks extractor. So you say okay. Now at 8:10 a.m. extractor is going to start. Once that is going to get completed, our data model will start. Now you go back to application, app work. It's the same step. Only for this application you have to enable the distribution. So under distribute, you just have to add it and make sure it is enabled for the users, so that the users access only the UI, not the extractor or anything. So all the groups, all the users, everything will be visible over here. So you don't have to worry. So I just apply under triggers. Now this trigger will be on task from another event on successful completion of. The data model task is somehow not getting saved. I think I didn't save it properly. If you don't give the name, right, so like this adventure works extractor, I gave the name. Over here, if I don't give the name, it will take the entire reload path and file path as the name. So instead of that, the best thing is data model. So give the name as then over here you give triggers on successful completion of. Now we have set up the chain of triggers. So when it will start, it will start. Now we'll monitor this. I mean, we'll give it a time to start 6 times. Let's see if it starts. Now while it is starting, now in QlikView there is another property. Okay. So if you remember, we spoke about what all QlikView can do, what all the server can do. One is, you saw 3 methods, right? It can distribute to a online access point. It can distribute to a folder. It can distribute through email, the QlikView documents. Apart from this, QlikView has an option of splitting the documents. Suppose you have the document and it has 10 territories, right? We had in our document, we had 10 territories. Now you have 10 territory managers. Instead of building section access, so what we did was we built section access for one user. So whoever logs in, he can see only his data. So for that kind of section access we built. Suppose you don't want to build section access. Instead of building section access, you want to create 10 different QEW documents. That is more strong security, right? So the data only will get split. You don't have to worry about the section access at all. Now creating, all you have to do is like copy paste 10 times or do the filter, apply the filter where clause. Instead of that, so in the QlikView server, there is an option. So you can pick that field, you can specify QlikView which field in the application. QlikView is going to take that field, look at the values and break the entire application, reduce the data for every application, for every value in that field and create 10 different QEW documents. These documents are not stored or anywhere. So you can't use these documents as 10 different documents. These are just available on the access point for the user. So you just have to split them and do it. So this loop and reduce helps you do that. So you can split multiple documents. I think 2 more minutes. We'll just see if this starts at 8:10 a.m. Start exactly at 8:10 a.m. Our load is started. So let's see the others. Okay, it immediately failed. If you want to troubleshoot your failure, so you can go to this show task details. Over here it will give you the task details, task history, how many times it has executed. Look at the log file as to what is the reason. So here you will get the error information. Over here it says execution failed or source document did not reload completely. Nope. I mean the task detail is not really that descriptive in nature. So the best thing to troubleshoot your document is go to the server, right? Open the extractor file and try to manually run it and see what error comes up. Okay, so there is an Excel file that we are loading, salesman ID data, which is not there in the, it is not accessible. That's why it is failing. So yeah, so that is the error in QlikView. So what we'll have to do is either delete that or take it off. Right, while testing, I think we added a lot of other junk, not junk, basically testing data, right? So this salesperson main, okay, web file, which is not loading, so we'll comment it. Target data testing, this is not loading, comment it. All these things are working. So again, reload. So manually make sure that the file is reloading. We should have done this earlier only. Yeah, sorry, I missed that step. Once that is done, so you can actually force start any like task, right? Either you can schedule it or you can force start it over here. So like this, run this task. So if you play this button, what I mean. So when it is running, right, it will show running. Once it is completed, it will show as waiting. Okay, there is no specific like pointer that it is successful or anything. Only if it is failed, it will show failed. If it is successful, it will show as waiting. So okay, it was successful, it is showing waiting. Our data model is running, right? So the next will be our application is running. Our application is also waiting, that means it is successful. On the access point, we have our application, AdventureWorks app. When I go here, I'll be able to see all the applications that or everything that we have developed from the main tab. Only in the development it is going to show you 2 lines of tabs. In the UI, it's always going to be one single line. Right. So our application is successfully published. So like I was telling, QlikView can loop and reduce. So if you go back to the task, so again under documents, you go back to the app. So at the end of it is what you will have to do that loop and reduce. You don't have to do it at extractor or data model level. Whatever you do where the users have to access, do it at the application level. So you can build, reduce, so open document. Now there are 2 methods of reduce. One is, like I said, loop and use the document for based on one value. So if you want the data to be visible only for one territory, so you can pass the value over here and make sure you reduce the data for that territory. So here you can say, once you click on open document, all the fields will be available over here. So if you look at it, you can see all the fields available in the document. So I'll go pick up the territory ID. Under territory ID, I have all the values. So I'll just pick up one value and say 2, 3. Now what happens is data will get filtered for 3 territories. I'm not doing loop and reduce, okay? This is reduced by field value or reduced by bookmark. So if I have any bookmarks already created, I can reduce the data for the bookmark. That means I'm creating in the existing application only, I'm removing all the unnecessary data based on this. So I'm just reducing the data by 1, 2, 3. So the application will have the data for 1, 2, 3. In case I don't, so I don't want to do this, right? If I want to loop and reduce like I told, so over here you have an option by field value. Once you click on open button, open document, you'll have by field value. You can pick up the field that you want to. So you can say territory ID. Right over here, you can write the name, what source document and script. You can say territory ID. You'll have to give the name to the new document, right? So the name will be existing document name plus territory ID. Say OK. Fine. Now when you execute this application, right, so it will loop into the territory and create it. Now if you look at the task status, adventure extractor data model application. You can start the task anywhere, any task at any given point. Only thing, the subsequent task will be following task. But if you start the application, that's the last, it's okay. So kick started. It will show you everything. Okay, were you able to see the 10 apps? I mean, are you clear with the loop and reduce? Clear with this loop and reduce? Okay. Under distribute also there's something called as loop fielding document. Now first thing is we'll clear this loop and reduce. I don't want any loop and reduce. I'll say apply. Under distribute also there's something looping field document. Now what happens is, so you have this territory, right? On territory you'll have some manager names. So one is territory, you're looping and reducing the document and creating separate documents. Second is you will have a list of managers. Now you will have to send a daily report to the managers using the PDF writer. So the publisher actually takes the application, creates a PDF out of the application and mails it to the respective person you want to. So you'll have a list of managers. Based on that manager list, or best is if you have email IDs in the document. So email IDs of the managers, based on every manager, the data will get reduced, a PDF created and sent to that email. For that, under distribute you have loop field in document. You'll have to open the document. Select the field. Over here you'll have to select the exact field. I mean the best is you'll have to select the email ID, which I think we don't have. For now I'll just select business entity. What will happen is field containing recipient information. So it has to have the email ID. Without the email ID I can't do it. So if the email ID is not there, we can't loop and reduce. But in case you have an email ID, you just select the email ID. Check identity by display name, email address, SAM account, security identifier, no allegation. Display name is if the name of the person. So when this goes right as an email, it integrates to your Active Directory. So either it checks on the display name, or you can say check as an email address authentication or SAM account name. So the PDFs will be created with this security feature, and when the user logs in, right, only if the security comes in, so he can read the PDF. Otherwise, it can't be like a PDF is created and sent to anybody, and that email is by chance forwarded to anybody and somebody can see the document. It won't happen like that. The document, the PDF will also be created with a security, inbuilt security in it. Now once you select the security type as email address or display name, you can advise where the PDFs have to be generated. Whether you need to be it on QlikView server, you'll have to select the server and say where you want, so root folder, or you want it through email, so either both, or to a particular folder. So you can publish the PDFs to the QlikView server root folder where people can access it, or an email, or a specific folder. So the PDFs can go anywhere. Now the file type actually plays the main role. Either it should be a QlikView document. If it is a QlikView document, the QEW will go as an email or go to the server or get stored. The moment you select PDF, so it will be a PDF report. Now once you select the PDF report, you'll have to select the report. Now how do you create these reports? So to create these reports, you'll have to go to the application, Apport. You have on top something called as reports. So you'll have to go to the reports, edit a report, so add daily report, double click, you'll get a page. Now what you can do is from the document you can start picking and dropping anything you want in the report. You can bring in any chart you want. You can say okay. Every time user comes to reports, say daily report, when you do it will directly take him to the print option. If he says print preview, you can see the report, right? So the report has the exact charts that is there. So every time the data gets refreshed, the charts also get refreshed and you can print it out. So once you do this, let me just save this application. I think now I hopefully should be able to see it on the server. First you'll have to open the document, then only go to the PDF to be able to select it. You'll have the report over here, daily report. You can have n number of reports, so you can select those reports over here. So first you select the daily report. The daily report is done. Then you go to notify and send notification email to recipient. So basically, if you check this only, then the emails will go to that. So when you apply, so based on the values, QlikView is going to filter the data for every value of this business entity email ID. It will check what records are valid for this ID. It will filter data for that, create a report, PDF report, send it through email. So that's the distribute part of it. But predominantly the main distribute is the manually part. Apart from that, this loop in field document, file type and notify. It depends on what project you're working on. Any questions? Okay. So that's the major part of the server that was there. So yeah, generally it doesn't take me that long. Yeah, licensing is a little tricky, not exactly tricky. It's in the beginning there's confusing part. So you just have to little clearly understand the licensing, how it works. So on the server there is nothing to do with the licensing, I think. So it's basically like you'll have to have that. Best is you contact your vendor who has given you the licenses, or a consultant who can actually give you more in depth of based on your licensing, whatever your current licensing is at, he can guide you with that. A general explanation won't help you understand it. So the last bit of it is basically the project. So the project that I would be sending you contains these QEDs. So it has customer group, invoice header, item details, invoice details, and sales info. So here there is a business case which is written in the Word document. It's a high level business case. So it is not like what I want or what exactly charts you have to grow. So it says it says what is the reporting challenge of this organization, right? It basically what they want to do and what they want to do with the new planning system, and what are the high level KPIs that they are looking at. So when I say KPIs, basically analysis they are looking at: product range analysis, customer base analysis, sales price monitoring, discounts, everything, right? There's no cost price available for calculating gross profit. So you'll have to calculate gross profit and you'll have to figure it out. So this is, I mean, a seeing is believing activity generally given at a lot of conferences or partner conferences basically. Or it's a seeing is believing what exercise that you have to do it. So take this data, read through this document. I'll send you all of these files. There's a sample schema too, how you could end up linking the tables. You can review this. You can start building it. If you have any challenges, you can review this schema, how the tables are linked, or if you want more explanation about linking the data. Once the data is linked, the UI is your piece of cake, so you can create how you want to and present the data in the most understandable and analytical method. So go through the online demos. So look at where retail analysis, look at item analysis, customer base analysis. Most of the topics are covered in the online demos available on QlikView.com. So please review them. I'm sure you will be able to build something nice out of using those ideas over there.
No, not really. Yeah, just send us the sample, the project. Then yeah, I didn't have time to actually try myself, like go through this exercise. Yeah, I did a bit before I actually attend this training. So, but I'm very used to designing the UI anyway from other BI tools and reporting tools. So I was just trying to understand what features are available. So it was good. It was good overview of what QlikView does. The last thing, the server part, I didn't attend, so I have no understanding right still. But yeah, I'll watch the the recordings. Yeah. Is this the last training? Or?
Yeah. So technically, the last day we were discussing. So yeah, last day we were planning.
Yeah.
So in case you have any doubts, or like based on your doubts and challenges, we can have another session probably next week or something. Just do let me know in case it is required. We'll have it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if your queries are like very small, so you can write me an email. I will just explain it through email.
Yeah, because my company just become public and we are going through the system changes. Like we have a new finance system, so that's where I'm focusing on. So but I'll soon jump
Okay.
back into QlikViews and yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
What finance systems are you doing? I mean,
Sorry?
just out of curiosity, what finance systems are you implementing?
NetSuite.
NetSuite. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So you're implementing that now. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So you're
Cool.
supposed to go. Yeah, yeah. So we go live on 1st of May. So yeah, I'm just stuck with that for now. So I
Oh,
just didn't have much time to actually looking into QlikView, but yeah. Because
yeah, no problem.
but anyway, yeah. So thank you for the training.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good overview. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, yeah, let me know if you have any questions now. We could discuss. Or yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a great session. Thank you, everybody.